So, let's see about this time of choice. What does that say? Before the time of choosing, however, there is a period of self-examination, and your full history becomes available to you. You understand the nature of the entity, and you are advised by other portions of that entity, more advanced than yourself. You will become aware of your other reincarnational selves, for example. There will be emotional ties with other personalities whom you have known in past lives, and some of these may supersede your relationships in the immediately past life. This is a meeting place for individuals from your own system also, however. That is, from people who are still alive. All necessary explanations are given to those who are disoriented. Those who do not realize that they are dead here are told of their true condition, and all efforts are made to refresh the energies and spirits. It is a time of study and comprehension. It is from this area that some disturbed personalities have those dreams of returning to physical environment. You may decide upon another reincarnation. You may decide to focus instead upon your past life, using it as the stuff of new experience. As mentioned previously, creating variations of events as you have known them, making corrections as you choose. Or you may enter another system of probability entirely, and this is quite apart from the reincarnational existence. You will be leaving all thoughts of continuity and time behind you. Some choose this rather than reincarnating, or rather as a study before a new reincarnation. These people are often perfectionists at heart. They must go back and create. They must right their errors. Then they use the immediately past life as a canvas, and with the same canvas they attempt to make a better picture. This is a mental and psychic exercise undertaken by many, demanding great concentration, and is no more hallucinatory than any existence. So what the soul can do is, it has three possibilities. It can reincarnate, it can play with the previous life, like as you might do in creative positive projection, visualize ourselves in the way that we have handled events in the past, and visualize ourselves handling those events differently now. So we're doing positive projection. But this does not constitute evolution. This is rehearsals. We can do this just as imagining in my mind that I'm able to show love to a person who I have not been able to show love to until now is not the lesson. It is a help. It prepares me for that. But the real evolution will take place when I can, in fact, in my physical body, show love to that person. So according to Seth, until we arrive at a certain level of evolution where we can leave this plane altogether, evolution takes place only when we are incarnated and not between incarnations. We can rehearse, we can practice, we can prepare, but evolution takes place only in the physical body. According to Alice Bailey, when we leave the physical body, and after we go through the evaluation of our lives, the soul collects from that evaluation 3 seeds, which hold the qualities of the physical body, of the energy body, and of the emotional body. These seeds are deposited in the causal body. They are added to the seeds, if you like, the characteristics or qualities from our previous incarnations, and then from that we take the material for our next life. How the physical body will be, what weaknesses, what strengths it will have, how the energy body will be, whether it will have high energy, low energy, what emotions we will have. This is decided before we incarnate. Of course, in our life we have the chance to work on this and to overcome any limitations and to use any limitations for our growth process. For example, if we choose a body that can't see or cannot walk, this can be a great opportunity for spiritual growth because we are forced to develop inner power in this way. It is also said by Alice Bailey that the second death can take place in one of three ways. There is the death of the mind. For most people, it takes place by the process of attrition, gradually peters out, the thinking process. By more advanced souls, they can repeat mantras and meditate in this bodily state so as to empty and to destroy the mind, so they can leave this mental body and continue with the evolutionary process. And the third way is by praying for higher powers to destroy the mind. So it can be through slow attrition, through meditation, or through prayer. So any soul who has developed these abilities will be in an advantageous state after death. Now the question is, one question which might come to mind is, where do these after-death states exist? Are they on Venus? Are they on Mars? Are they on the Sun? Set's answer is that they exist nowhere in our physical dimension. That it's another dimension. So just as in this room, there are literally thousands of radio waves and television waves coexisting in the same room, because they don't take any space. I mean, you can't say, well, there's no more space for any waves in here. Waves don't take space. In the same way, those realities are here. It's not a movement to another place in our galaxy or in our solar system. It's a movement into another dimension. And they exist here, they exist everywhere. Right where we are now, there are other dimensions functioning simultaneously. Now, about choosing a new incarnation. Let us now go to Helen Wambach's hypnosis experiment, in which she hypnotized 750 people who she collected off the street in Chicago and Los Angeles for this psychological test. Not people specifically involved in this kind of spiritual work. And she hypnotized them in group settings, giving them a questionnaire to fill out afterwards. And one of the questions that she asked was, did you choose to be born, and did you have any help in choosing to be born? So let's hear some answers. Yes, I chose to be born, and there seemed to be a board or committee, a group of authorities to help me choose. I was not too anxious or interested in living this lifetime, but I knew I had something to do on this plane, something to accomplish. The whole feeling of birth seemed to be an annoying, unpleasant trip to accomplish something in this lifetime. I felt an urgency. Another case. When you asked if I chose to be born, I didn't want to, but I was convinced by a counselor that I needed to help with enlightenment. The man who helped me choose seemed to have a white beard and a cane and was a kind of spiritual guide. When you asked about the prospect of being born, I became clearly aware that I didn't want to and was very reluctant. I even knew that I had tried to abort while in the womb. So abortions don't take place only by women, they take place also by the soul coming in. Another case. Yes, I chose to be born. I had a very strong sensation of flowing from my expanded, dispersed self down into my physical center, and had a vision of it. I think someone helped me to choose, but if they did, it was prior to the space I experienced, because I felt my own pressure to enter physical reality. My feelings about the prospect of being born were positive, and I was impatient to begin. We must say that, according to most of the answers, this is an unusual case. Most souls don't want to get born. Another one. Yes, I chose to be born, but somewhat reluctantly. Others were helping me choose, and they seemed to be vague figures. Some were human shapes and some geometric shapes. There was a general agreement among all of us that it was somehow necessary, but I felt pushed into it. Another case. Yes, I chose to be born. I was waiting to return. No one actually helped me choose, but an old man was with me while I was making the choice. My feeling about the prospect of being born was that I was waiting and anxious to see if the body would be okay this time. This experience was very strange for me. This woman who had this experience realized in the experience, in hypnosis, that she was the same soul who incarnated to the same parents as an earlier child who died after a few months. And so this is why she said, I was anxious to see if the body would be okay this time. And she came in, the body died, and the same soul came back as the next child. This is what she realized anyway in this hypnosis. Another case. Yes, I chose to be born, although I felt it was going to be a hassle. Someone helped me choose, someone more knowledgeable than I. My feelings about living the coming lifetime were that it was something that had to be done, like washing the floor when it's dirty. So what we can see is that no one wants to die and no one wants to get born. In general, we don't like to change states. If we're here, we don't want to leave. If we're there, we don't want to come. In general, we're never happy. Let's hear what Seth says about this. The time of choosing, that is, choosing of a new incarnation, is dependent upon the condition and circumstances of the individual following transition from physical life. Some take longer than others to understand the true situation. Others must be divested of many impeding ideas and symbols, as explained earlier. The time of choosing may happen almost immediately in your terms, or may be put off for a much longer period of time while training is carried on. The main impediments standing in the way of the time of choosing are, of course, the faulty ideas harbored by any individual. A belief in heaven or hell under certain conditions can be equally disadvantageous. Some will refuse to accept the idea of further work, development, and challenge, believing instead that conventional heaven situations are the only possibility. For some time they may indeed inhabit such an environment until they learn through their own experience that existence demands development, and that such a heaven would be sterile, boring, and indeed deadly. Then they are ready for a time of choosing. Others may insist that because of their transgressions they will be cast into hell, and because of the force of such a belief they may for some time actually encounter such conditions. In either case, however, there will always be teachers available, and they will try to get through these false beliefs. In the Hades condition, the individuals come somewhat more quickly to their senses. As those who are creating hell come more quickly to their senses. Their own fear triggers within themselves the answering release. Their need, in other words, is more quickly opens the way to inner doors of knowledge. Their state does not usually last long, therefore, as the heaven state.